Welcome to Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show. It's presented by the great folks at COMC, Central Ozarks Medical Center, where your health is their mission. And we've got another Hall of Famer with us here, Shootout Hall of Famer Brad Harrington. How are you, sir?
Good, Chris. Good to see you.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really gotten a chance to sit down, talk with you, meet you before. I've seen you on TV, you know, with your, Hollywood looks and all that stuff, I mean, you're just skyrocketing in the broadcasting world now.
No, I don't know about that.
So already in the Hall of Fame, I said, just a second ago, I said, how do you want me to introduce you? Well, world champion, national champion, all of it, you've done it all in a boat pretty much, haven't you?
I have. I used to be one of the new guys around. And now you look back, you're like, wow. You and I were just saying, it's going to be the 36th shootout this year. And it's, wow, you look back and I've been to the majority of them.
Isn't that crazy?
And it's just, now I'm one of the old timers. So, yeah.
It's funny how things change. Where does it rank on your achievements list to be in the Shootout Hall of Fame?
Well, it's huge. And just to be recognized by your peers, and it's something that I'm passionate about is the shootout and powerboat racing. I mean, I love boats in any way. Have always loved boats my entire life. But to be recognized and to be entered into the Shootout Hall of Fame is just, it was huge.
Yeah.
Humbling.
Did you know it was coming? Did you suspect it was coming?
No. I didn't. When I got the phone call from Ron, he was asking when I was going to come down, and we're busy back home with kids and everything, and I was like, man, Ron, I just don't know when I'm going to be able to make it down. Maybe that Thursday night or something. Yeah, I'm going to need you to come in a little earlier than that this year. I'm like, what for, man? I'm going to have to come back and forth,
Right, yeah.
And he goes, well, we're going to put you in the Hall of Fame this year. Like, whoa. So it really caught me off guard.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Are you an emotional guy? Did it hit you in that way?
No,
or?
it was kind of humbling to get that. And then the group that I went in with was Bob Teague and Myrick Coyle and Tiffany Mawson and Tim Kowalski with BioClean. So I had a great class that we all went in.
I think that was 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. The COVID year.
The COVID year.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, so when did you first get involved in the shootout? How long have you been doing shootout stuff?
So I've run my boat the last 18 years.
Okay.
With different drivers.
Right. And never lost, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's how the classes are.
Right.
So I've had some competition, but my biggest competitor is myself. I always try to up my speed. But so 18 years in my boat, but it all starts back when I was in college. I was working down here at Kelly's Port.
Okay.
And for Randy Kelly. And so I would help on the start boat back then, because he was the start boat, what Justin Martin does now. And so I started with that, and then I was a patrol boat for a few years, helped, like I said, Randy and Jane. Back then, Kyle and Ryan were down below in the cruiser watching tapes, Barney tapes or whatever they were down there.
Right.
And we were up, getting the boats out on the course. And but I always was involved either with that or shuttle boat or patrol boat. And then I started racing my own boats. I think I raced my 23 Velocity. I had a 23 Velocity, and there was another guy that had one, and we always raced each other, and he was always faster than I was, and that's Mike Gordon.
Ah, wow.
Mike turned out to be a great friend of mine.
Yeah.
And years forward, we actually ended up racing together on the Great Lakes and in his One Vision race team. So, I've ran a lot of my different boats over the years. I had another 30-foot Velocity, but never won in any of those boats until I got mine.
And the very first shootout was in '89.
Right.
And this was the early 90s, right?
So this had been 92, 93.
Okay. So it was like within the first 5 years of the shootout starting, which is pretty amazing. Much more grassroots back then.
Definitely.
Much more mom and pop back then. Was it better back then with that, or has it grown into something better as big as it is now?
I think it's better now. You look back at your roots. I'm kind of a historian also.
I love that, yeah.
And so looking back, it's great to see where it came from.
Yeah.
But and I was always a proponent of the shootout. And when we started racing and growing up with Mike Gordon up on the Great Lakes and then traveling to the different race sites, I'd always tell people about it. And back then they'd kind of, whatever.
Right.
Now it's the largest powerboating event, in the world.
Yeah.
There's nobody that does anything like that anywhere else, bigger than the United States. So, it's huge. And so now to get that recognition, is nice.
Yeah.
But I don't want the outside influences to come in and change.
I know.
What we
There's
have.
that kind of that give and take. You got to be careful to keep it special the way it is,
right?
And yet still allow it to grow,
right?
So
because a lot of they always kind of laughed at the shootout. Oh, what is that? And now it's getting the recognition that it deserves.
Yeah. I was talking with, I think it was Mark and Tiffany Mawson, about how huge the shootout has become, not just nationally, but internationally, all over the world.
Right.
And I know we at Lake TV, when we air the races, we're getting viewers from all over the world that tune in to watch that race. Yeah, it's stunning. And I think it was the door hours that we're talking about. It started with a couple of people in Party Cove arguing about who had the fastest boat.
I know.
You don't get any more grassroots than that, right?
Well, I know. Back in the day, it was guys saying, oh, my boat can go this fast, my boat can go that fast. And finally, back then, the Speedos on the boats were just water pressure gauges that had, a line going up to a Speedo on the dash. Well, it was completely unreliable. And so you could take a drill and drill it out and make your boat go faster. So finally somebody said, well, I can get a radar gun. I'll borrow one from a buddy of mine. Yeah. And they said, let's see how fast your boat really is.
Let's see how it really is, yeah.
And there was the start of the shootout. Wow. Isn't that cool?
So it is so, I love history for that reason. I mean, that's the way it really started. Yeah. That is so amazing. So you started out like working this boat or working that boat. You didn't start out racing.
No, I did not.
What flipped the switch to, well, we'll talk about that when we come back, about how you decided to start racing in the shootout. Isn't this great? This is fun. Shootout Hall of Famer Brad Harrington. We'll be back with more of the Spotlight Show right after this.
Don't miss out on your favorite show. Watch Lake TV on demand on YouTube, Roku, and Fire TV.
At COMC, your health is our mission. Central Ozarks Medical Center offers 3 OBGYNs at the Osage Beach Clinic and 2 pediatricians with same-day appointments available. At COMC, our doors are open to everyone with 5 primary care locations conveniently located across the Ozarks. COMC for the best medical, dental, and behavioral health care. Get more info on how COMC can help you at centralozarks.org. COMC, where your health is our mission. If it's happening at the lake, it's happening on Lake TV. From the Polar Plunge to festivals, parades, Aquapalooza, and boat shows, Lake TV has it all. Even the granddaddy of them all, the shootouts. If you're looking for places to party, things to do, or even a new home to move into, you've gotta love Lake TV. Welcome back to Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show, presented by the great folks at COMC. We're talking with Brad Harrington, my new best friend, by golly, because we're getting to know him. And so you've been involved with a shootout since the early 90s. Shootout started in 89. You started out working different boats, starter boat and things. When did you decide to start racing, and what flipped the switch for you on that?
Well, in the early years, I was a poor college kid.
Right.
I didn't have any boat.
You weren't rich like you are now.
No, right. Well, no, I'm still not. But I didn't have my boat. I didn't have a boat. So I decided that after college, I needed to go back to town and went to work at my family's funeral home and saved up enough money to buy my first boat. And when I got my first boat is when I started participating as a racer in the shootout.
Right. Yeah. So you bought that boat with racing in mind.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't like, this is going to be my pleasure boat.
Yeah, it's going to be that and my race boat at the shootout. Now, The one I have now is really more of a dedicated race boat.
Okay.
That was Regal Velocity, and so
it was kind of a hybrid. You could do both.
It's a performance boat, like a lot of boats down here at the lake.
Right. And what year was that? What was your first year that you raced?
Oh, my goodness.
Was that in the aughts after 2000? Or
Oh, no. It was in the late 90s.
In the 90s. Okay.
I sold my high school car and took the money and went straight to down here to buy my first boat.
Wow. So how'd you get back and forth without a car?
Well, I had saved up to have a truck, but my hot rod that I had that I'd worked on for years, I sold it and delivered it in Marshall, Missouri, and then drove straight to the lake and put down a down payment on my boat.
Wow. Yeah. Have you always been a gearhead? You always know the ins and outs of the motors and stuff like that?
Yeah, I have been. I've been an enthusiast for that.
Because that's a gift. A lot of people don't have that.
Well, I'm definitely not gifted in that regards. I'm just an enthusiast in that regards. I have a lot of good people around me that are motor builders and things like that. So I know where to go to get those things done. I can do a little bit of my own stuff, but
it helps, doesn't it?
It does.
So you mentioned it earlier, you family business, funeral home, and I think in Kansas, right?
Yes, it is. It's in Bonner Springs, just west of Kansas City.
Okay.
Pretty close to Kansas Speedway.
Okay.
And then we live just north of there in Baser.
Okay, cool. So funeral home, that's a different kind of a business. You grew up in that, so for you it's kind of normal, right?
Right. So as abnormal it is to you, it's normal to me.
Right, so, just because you grew up with it and everything. Did you always know you were going to get in the family business, or did you think you might do something else?
Oh, I thought about other things. But like I said, when I got out of college, I went straight to mortuary school. It was while I was in mortuary school that I was working down here during the summers, but I always wanted to be like my dad. And so I went back and worked for him.
Your dad, your hero?
Yeah.
Okay.
He really is.
Wow, is he still with us?
He is. He's 84 years old, and he's retired from the funeral home. It's my brother and I now that run the funeral home, and my sister and her husband run our flower shop.
Okay.
A little town of Bonner Springs, so little family business.
And money is a big issue when it comes to anything, but racing especially, because racing can be so expensive.
Yeah.
In the early years, you actually came to the lake, worked summers to raise money, right? And when was that? Was that 80s? Or?
So when I was working down here, I was down here in 92, 93, 94.
Okay.
I worked for Kelly's Port. First up on the Grabois, worked on the gas dock. The second year I managed the gas dock and helped out service. That really was probably my favorite year because I got to deliver boats every day.
Oh, wow.
I was in people's boats all the time, taking them, home to them or what have you. And then the third year, he was building a new marina. They were over here at the 19, and I sold boats for him.
Okay.
So that was fun too, though.
What a great way to get to know people in the community, not just in the lake community, but in the boating community.
Oh, definitely.
Right? And that served you pretty well. You have now expanded, and we're down to our last 2 minutes, but you've expanded, you're doing broadcasting now. And so the broadcast schedule is set for this year's shootout. That's Saturday and Sunday, right?
Correct.
Going to be all day again, or what's the schedule looking like?
8 to 4. We're going to have full day of racing, actually, both days. And the kilo runs are actually going to be on Sunday morning this year.
Sunday morning, not Sunday afternoon.
Correct. So we're going to have those Sunday morning. We're looking for better water for the kilos. Of course, the crowd is always less on Sundays than it is on Saturday, but 2 full days of racing from 8 to 4.
Wow, that'll be great. And keep in mind, you can see the races right here on Lake TV, 8 to 4, shootout Saturday and shootout Sunday. From afar, I've gotten to watch you race and your family race over the years. And I remember seeing some of your kids this high, and they're now grown up and in college, but racing with you, right?
Yeah. Last year, Stella was able to run my boat with me, 2 years ago. And hopefully this year, Lake will have time for a run during the shootout. They're in college, so it's a busy time of year.
That's tough. How special is that, though, when they climb in the boat to race with Dad?
It's awesome. But my goal is to get them comfortable enough with the boat that they can run the boat, and I'll go up and commentate it.
There you go. Absolutely, that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
man. Yeah. Have the kids do all the shaking and rocking and rolling and. But you might break down and weep, though. You might not be able to talk.
Good TV.
That's right.
Great TV.
That makes for good drama, baby. Okay, so he's Brad Harrington. He's in the Shootout Hall of Fame, world champion, national champion. We're going to have him back, to talk about more of that stuff.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, so Brad Harrington. Hey, if you need more information on the shootout, go to lakeoftheozarkshootout.com.
Yep.
You can get all that information. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
God bless you. And thank you guys for joining us for Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show.